are your husband's fiercest advocate and a close advisor, and it's been reported that you created a sort of cocoon around him and kind of limited his interactions with the media and others. Do you think you could have been too close to the situation to objectively gauge whether he could handle a full 4 more years?
I was with Joe day and night. I saw him more than any other person. I woke up with him, I went to bed at night with him. So I saw him all throughout the day, and I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches. He wasn't hiding somewhere. I didn't have him, sequestered in some place. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Was that hurtful to you when they were describing you as Lady Macbeth and all of
Yes,
those?
it was very hurtful. It was very hurtful, especially from some of our people.
Out, damn spot. She is a doctor, right? So she would know better than anybody. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Boop, boop your snoot. Welcome to the Wake Up America Show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. I'm glad and thankful to have you here. Click that like button and support the Wake Up America Show today. Let's get this show on the road. If she wanted to make Joe Biden look better by trying to assert that she's not creating a cocoon around him, then why did Dr. Jill Biden have to go on The View with him to help him out with that? Does that make any sense? I don't think so. Oh, look, it's Edith again. Were these speeches in the Oval Office with him, Brad Beckman asks. And he's out. What's up, Mighty Megatron? Nice to see everybody. He's scanning like a Terminator for a kid to sniff, said Mighty Megatron. You guys are funny. Are we ready to have a good time? Are we ready to have a great show? Are we ready to have a great day? Good morning, Monday morning. Good morning, Sunday morning. Text the show at 573-319-1586. Somebody texted us over the weekend. They said, on Saturday, did you guys end up watching any of the mole people videos? They are so intriguing. Actually, yes. And not as good as advertised. They're not actually like part mole, part human hybrids. I was hoping that we would learn that when we watched the videos about the mole people over the weekend. We looked up some YouTube videos, Steffi and I, because you guys, all you chatters over there in Rumble, let's give it up for the Rumble chat. Bumbaclat. What does that mean? Yeah, we watched the mole people videos over the weekend, and it come to find out that they don't have like paws and like long noses with like bulbous tips. Actually, some of them do, but it's mostly due to the drugs, because that's what it is. It's just a bunch of tunnels. It's not like secret underground. I mean, anybody can just kind of walk through there. You might get stabbed, or you might have a nice little bout of heroin. It would be delicious. So if you like heroin, you could probably get some there if you like meth, and also getting stabbed in the face and maybe getting a strange infection. You can send a text to the Wake Up America show like this person did on Saturday, and send me completely down a rabbit hole or a mole people hole with your thoughts at 573-319-1586. So the text lines are open, and we check them every time we can during the show live, as well as anytime later if you're listening to the audio version later. But the Rumble live chat is where it's at, because that's where you got Quest Fanning, Brad Beckman, Mighty Megatron, John Rail, Amy J. Ease, the lovely Amy Ease, Joni Rankin, couple of hotties there. And Bruce Birtwhistle, our friend from the north, Evan Rowan, and Relaxium McGroin sit next to Kermode Bear, as well as T-Mill 22. It's a lively chat this morning, and thank you guys for participating, being a part of the For Liberty Network. We are for liberty. I'm AP for Liberty. You can find me at AP for Liberty everywhere in the internet that exists. Donald Trump offered a $400 million gift, a luxury Boeing 747 jumbo jet, as a gift from the ruling family of Qatar. I say Qatar. People who are smarter than me say Qatar, so I'll just continue to be dumb and stick out like a sore thumb. Qatar Qatar. During his trip to the Middle East this coming week, the Qatar government said a final decision hadn't been made. Well, that's good to hear. But I think, you know what I think is happening a lot with the world, and Donald Trump kind of initiated this strategy, and the rest, a lot of like people try and copy the Trump strategy, but Trump seems to float ideas, right? He like throws it out there to see what the response is going to be and who says what, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's a way of like finding out who your enemies are, right? And then another way is to just kind of see if it's popular with the American people, poll it, right? See if it's a good idea. Think about it. If your job, and ostensibly what Trump wants is for everybody to love him. If that's what your goal is, and Trump wants everybody to like him, is that he's fine with pissing people off, but you can't make everybody happy. But I mean, like, I think deep down, Trump really, that's his psychology, is he wants everybody to love him. And if you want to do that, the perfect strategy is to throw your ideas out there, let people debate them, fight them over them. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And then make a decision once you've done all of the polls and seen how the public reacts, and then pick whatever it is the public believes in. So, for example, if the Iraq War were extremely popular, if the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq had been very popular, I would think that Donald Trump would probably have a different view on those conflicts, right? Because they're actually, for those who have, for the adventures of the people who just started paying attention, if that's you, no offense, there was a time when, it was considered unpatriotic to be opposed to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? People like myself were called traitors and anti-American and, anti-Semites because we didn't support the wars in Afghanistan or Iraq. And Donald Trump, I think, was one of the first kind of big national leaders, at least, contenders for president of the United States, that was saying things like, maybe these were mistakes. We shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have gone in there. So I think that, a lot of what Trump believes is definitely what's poll tested. And so when it comes to this luxury Boeing 747, I think that he would say, if this is a final decision hasn't been made, Trump defended the idea because, of course, he wants, who doesn't want a 747-8 jumbo jet as a gift from the ruling family of Qatar? I mean, it would be nice, right? Wouldn't it be nice to just fly around the world in your own 747 luxury liner? I mean, come on. But for those of you who know history and don't want to be doomed in repeating it, some of you might remember that once the United States and the Soviet Union started détente and the embassies were built in each other's capitals after the long period of the Cold War and frozen relationships with Moscow, that the United States and the Soviet Union finally built embassies. Well, the United States didn't build its own embassy, actually, because the whole thing was that we would have the other country build the other country's embassy. And it's a great story. If you go to the Spy Museum, I think they still have it. But in the inner sanctum of the chambers where our ambassadors and diplomats and people would meet, thinking they were in private, in secret. Well, of course, the Soviets had bugged a plaque, and I think there was one in Eagle as well. But the whole embassy was just completely and totally run through with tracking bugs, and the Soviets could turn it off and turn it on as they desired, right, and try and avoid espionage. But of course, we were. It's like the Trojan horse, right? You get the Trojan, you get the Qatari plane. And I know what they'll say. They'll say, "Oh, well, we're going to use all of our sophisticated spying techniques to prevent something like this from happening again." But I mean, like, Trump or no, like Republican or no, Libertarian or no, whoever's in charge of the government is inherently inefficient and kind of run by retards. You can have the most competent American, and you can't manage. Because the problem, of course, is that the role of government has changed. It used to be that the idea was that it was supposed to mostly stay out of our business. The government was not supposed to be making major decisions for our lives. But now it's gotten so much that the government makes so many important decisions for us without a majority vote even in Congress. Congress abdicates everything to the executive branch now, that people don't even realize the kinds of freedoms that they could be enjoying because they never had it, right? You were never born into freedom. It's like being born into slavery in some ways. Some people, they never it's a comfortable slavery because you didn't even know that you were controlled. It's the Matrix, right? So, and the government is the ultimate system of creating matrices for human rats to run around in, and politicians believe that it's their mission in life. Many of them believe it's their divine right to rule over all of us and to micromanage every decision made in our lives. And you see it. Don't you see it on the local level? And don't you see it in your personal life? These people who they cannot leave it alone. Like every little thing that's going on, they feel like they have to, you can almost see them when they don't have it, and they're going crazy. It's like they wish they had VR glasses so that they could be like, this person can't do this and this person has to go over there and all this kind of stuff. It's like we're living in their video game, and they want to run the control grid and stuff like that. They'd be happy living in the world of Ready Player One, where everybody lives. It's a dystopia, and we're all living in trailers, and everybody just has to, we want to have one person telling everybody what to do, and their programmers are right, and the code comes from Silicon Valley, and only Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, and only the big tech gods, and Google and Sergey Brin, only these people can make the decisions. They're the smartest people, and they're going to run this world according to these, and AI will tell you what to do. Yesterday, Stephanie and I took her out for chicken for Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, by the way. Qatar hero, that's hilarious. Quest fanning. I hope you all had a happy Mother's Day. I took Stephanie out for chicken yesterday, and I think this was the first time that I've ever encountered an AI fast food clerk. Maybe you've experienced this in your neighborhood. Have you gone to fast food? We went to it's like a local fried chicken joint, and they have a drive-through. And I took Stephanie through the drive-through, and instead of a human being answering, taking the order, it was a machine. It was a robot voice. I'm pretty familiar with using like chat bots and stuff like that. So it didn't really throw me off until I considered, I wanted half spicy chicken and half original chicken, but is it going to be able to get that? So I was like, okay, so we want the family meal, because we used to be just order meals, but now we have baby, and baby is starting to eat for she's like a third person now, because at this point she's so big and she's so hungry. She's got this one tooth, and she's like, she wants that chicken, maybe. So we got to feed her like a third person now. It's not just bottles anymore. Baby Hazel, she's like, give me that chicken leg. The doctors are like, only give her food that's as large as a pea. And meanwhile, I give her this big chunk of chicken. She's just like, I don't know about your babies, but I know it's supposed to be a choking hazard. Maybe this will come back to bite me. R.I.P. Hazel. Just kidding. She'll be fine. She just likes the big pieces of chicken. She wants to grab with her hands and eat it, man. She gets mad when we don't let her feed herself. But we had a beautiful Mother's Day. But I was interacting with this AI. Glad I got back on track. I was interacting with this artificial intelligence host, and I thought to myself, are they going to be able to do it as well as a human? So when I got up to the drive-thru, I did you guys get that I had told it that we wanted half spicy, half original for the meal? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. So it must now have gotten to the point where these kind of chat bots are so good that they can now take your order in such a way, and artificial intelligence will be able to communicate that order to the human clerk who's waiting there to finish it up. Talk about you're saving so much money. Think about if you own a fast food restaurant, how much money you're going to save by not hiring the American for the demanded minimum wage, because, capitalists over here, we don't even believe in a minimum wage, which is why your calls to cry over Chinese sweatshops that created the phones that you're whining on about capitalism and industrialization and exploited proletariat workers, whether you're left and right. Do you guys know that I've been in this online battle for the last 3 or 4 days with leftists? Did you see that Harry Sison attacked me? It's all over the shoe business. Which, speaking of the shoe business, apparently China tariffs paused for, was it 30, 90 days? It changes every minute. Every time I open up the Wall Street Journal, and I open it 7 or 8 times a day. U.S.-China agrees to substantial tariff cuts for 90 days. Okay. Great. Stocks surge, dollar jumps. I wish people would stop fucking with the markets. because it's so tiresome. So, surprise, U.S.-China trade deal gives global economy a big reprieve. It's not a deal. Why are we calling it a deal, Wall Street Journal? But anyways, if you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on X over the last 3 or 4 days, so leftists, lawbertarians, and MAGA tariff supporters all have been ganging up on me in like the last 48 hours. So they're all like, Austin, you're getting what you deserve. Your shoe business failed. Your business failed, Austin. And it's because of Trump's tariffs. And it's like, guys, you don't know anything about me. My number one business is delicious Founding Flavors coffee. This is the number one seller in my shop. So yeah, I sell shoes that are manufactured in China? Yeah, just like Nike. Open up the shoes on your feet right now and tell me where these are made, right? BB for Liberty says Harry C. Son. And did I see George Takei? More like Tagay. Take shots at AP over the weekend? Yeah, they all did. The whole Democratic Party came at me. And it was a sight to see because it actually started because Chase Oliver, the former Libertarian Party presidential candidate guy, Chase Oliver took a screenshot or something of like my tweets. He went old school on me. He was out to get me. And he tweeted where I said I wanted to vote for Trump to own the libs and to, a strong economy, et cetera, et cetera. And so they did that, and then they posted the tweet where I was talking about they want my shoe business because if the customer has to go to the post office and pay 145% tariff or something like that, the customers are going to hate me and they're not going to want to buy my shoes because that's a terrible experience, right? Nike, they can afford to pay the sweatshops and, they call them sweatshops, but it's the irony in all of this is that ostensibly broadly, most right wingers, at least until recently, were all in favor of abolishing the minimum wage, which if we did would mean what? Sweatshops? Kinda, right? You're going to be working for $2 or $3 or $5 an hour. Some people are. What about you? Would you take a job for less than minimum wage? I sure as hell wouldn't. But that would mean that we would pay. A tariff. If you show up to the shoes, you have to show up to the post office, you've got to pay a tariff. Well, Amy says, did you say that I have to go pick up my shoes at the post office? Now, probably, Amy. And the truth is, the answer is that we don't know, okay? The whole system is in chaos because on one day, I would have said, yes, it was 104, and you'd have 145% fee added to it. And then the other day I would say no. Today it's maybe because they say 90-day pause. But how can you trust them? There's 90-day pause one day, then 10 minutes later they're kind of like now it's 250,000%, right? And it's chung chong chong kong king kong, right? So it may show up and be fine, and you pick it may show up to your house fine and not be a problem at all. It may show up to your post office, and your post office gives you a call and gives you a 10% fee or something like that. They may give you a 20% fee, maybe 145% fee. I have no idea. So that's where this all started and blew up because, I can't, that's not sustainable, right? I can't do that to customers in the long term. Like we're going to see what happens and do our best to continue to sell shoes because I like selling shoes. I do it because it's fun. Do we make good money on shoes? I mean, it's okay. We make decent money on shoes. It's the number one seller is Founding Flavors coffee, Jeffersonian Java, which is, still terrifies me because, of course, that's not. Did you know that there isn't much coffee grown in the United States? Well, where's your tea come from? Probably China. You ever heard the statement, all the tea in China? Well, all the tea is pretty much made in China and India and there's some in Australia. We don't grow tea here. Has anyone says that showbiz yet? Like showbiz? Yes, they have. Womp womp. Good morning, pineapples. Click the like button. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. So what are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about the announced pause in tariffs. We're talking about Donald Trump being potentially gifted an airplane from Qatar. I've got a million billion clips here. I've also got, speaking of Mother's Day yesterday, I've also got the most popular baby names for 2025. Top baby names for the 6th year in a row. The top ones are the top ones. What is it about Liam and Olivia? Why do people like Liam and Olivia so much? Is it Liam Neeson? Is there Olivia Munn? I mean, for Olivia Munn, I can understand. So, I've got a million billion clips. I've got great stories. I've got John Miltimore. He's going to join us live at 8. John Miltimore, he's going to be joining us live at 8 a.m. Central Time from the American Institute for Economic Research. Talk about the shoe business. That's shoe business. We get a really big shoe. So, do I think that my shoe business will go away if the tariffs operate in such a way as to force my customers to have to go to the post office? I think the shoe business ends, because I really just wouldn't want to do that to my customers. Now, people say, oh, well, find a domestic American shoe supplier, do all that kind of stuff. I understand, like, the desire for people who don't run businesses, especially ones like that rely on international supply chains, like, really heavily. I understand the desire to just tell business owners, just do this or just do that, to just do that. But shut your goddamn mouths. Shut your fucking mouths. Get your ass in the arena and get you a business and start learning and start, making mistakes and start learning from those mistakes, and then start figuring out how trade and commerce works, and get your ass in the arenas and start to see what it's like before you start telling a business owner, well, just switch your supply chain. Like, listen, you mother. Do you understand how controlled you think that the international trade community is controlled? They've got tariffs on our stuff, Austin. You think that other countries are controlled. Welcome to the United States of America, where regulations, laws, and taxes make it damn near impossible to start a business in this country. Did you know that it's hard to run, operate? Can you imagine trying to create? You can't imagine what it'd be like to try and create supply chains just in the United States. Now, do we have products that are made in the United States here at forlibertyshop.com that supports the network? Absolutely. May I interest you in a custom metal sign? How about it? Would you like one? Go to forlibertyshop.com. Yeah, Brad says, I was talking to a guy about it yesterday, and he kept saying, well, have you looked into getting them here? What about here? Bro, what makes you think we haven't looked into every possible option? Yeah, you inexorable twat. Grizz Cheese says, also long enough to check out one of AP's trolls, who is a complete anon account, started in November to go around calling people Nazis and trolls. Are you guys enjoying all the trolls that I'm getting over on X these days? Are you following the drama on X? So this is like high-level meta stuff, but I'll just tell you kind of like my thinking on this has been, is that so I attacked the tariffs, and then the libertarians, like Libertarian Party members, they attacked me. This is how this started. This is the timeline. All right, I posted about how the shoe business might go away because these tariffs make the business untenable, right? It doesn't mean the whole business goes away. We still have the Wake Up America show, thank goodness. Thanks to your generous Rumble rants and purchases at forlibertyshop.com that are shoes and not shoes. So libertarians like Chase Oliver posted, like, went and grabbed a screenshot and then posted Austin got owned. And then because the libertarians that are party members are all ostensibly, many of them, leftists these days, like they're almost indistinguishable from leftists. Leftists who follow Chase Oliver picked up that screenshot and it went mega viral. So all of a sudden I started getting attacked. Bot farms, hack attack. My Reddit account was immediately hacked. The left is so vicious. They immediately call for my rape and murder, the complete and total murder of my family. Remember, this is the party of Luigi Mangione. My inbox, if I were to pull it up for you right now, you could see the amount of death threats and hate. If you go to my other message requests, as a matter of fact, I think I can just show you here real quick. You can kind of see it here. So check it out. Look at all this. This is my email inbox. Now looks like 14 hours ago is the one. See this guy's profile pic? If you had epilepsy, they do this kind of stuff on purpose for the chance. They take a chance that you might be epileptic, and they create profiles like this in order to screw with people and hopefully send you into a seizure. But they are literally trying to kill you. It's not a joke. Luigi Mangione. The left are the party of murderers and rapists and pedophiles and pedophile defenders and enablers. And you can see here, they operate like a bot. I mean, a lot of these are bots, but they immediately, not only do they, so look at this, if your shoe business, I hope buying the very blah, blah, blah. Look at all of this, right? This is all in the last few days. Ha ha ha, stupid fucker, you're a retard. Just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages. And of course, this is actually quite powerful, right? This is quite a powerful attack, because not only do they spam you, right, but they actually hack your accounts, right? Thankfully, I've had super extra mega security on my accounts these lately, because I've had to. But they immediately call for your rape and for your murder, and then they try and kill you if they can, if you're sending you an paralytic shock. But if you were to appear in public in certain venues or places, you might as well. If I went to Portland, for example, and decided to hold a meetup in Portland, that would be a great place to get murdered. But and then they immediately try and they try and dox you, right? They try and grab as much information out of your inboxes. They just dump you out to the world. And I mean, of course there are hacks. I mean, I woke up at 5:30 on Saturday morning, I think, to my Instagram account. Repeatedly, somebody was trying to hack into my Instagram over and over again. They were doing these force reset password attempts. And I still haven't got my Reddit account back. I mean, I never used it. It's like there's no sensitive information there. It's just but I mean, I hate Reddit, but this is where they come from. So these people come in and they immediately try to destroy you. Online, try and steal every penny you have, hack into your crypto wallets if you have them. And they they're doing everything they can to try and destroy your life, up to and including murdering you, which is how the left operates. But of course, it was fascinating because this all started because I was criticizing tariffs. So Trumpers were attacking me. Leftists were attacking me. And the Lulbertarians from the Libertarian Party were all attacking me. So it was like this mass swarm from everybody almost in politics had converged to attack me. Harry Sisson and the leftards. And I had all these gay Ukraine flag picture in their bios coming at me, sending me these hateful things. You're a bigot. You hate the LGBTQI community, blah, blah, blah. And I was just you're a Christian nationalist, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. I'm just womp, womp. It's the libertarians and the Trumpers and the people who just started paying attention to who I was 5 minutes ago. They're attacking me. Well, and how did people get so stupid? Well, it's because in places like Naperville, Illinois, School District 203, they have teacher training modules that sound like this. This is what the kids are. This is what the teachers of the children are. This is how they teach teachers how to teach.
As your students get better at discussion and deepening the dialogue, you want to consider that there are topics that are not open for discussion or debate. Students are certainly encouraged and entitled to express their opinions supported by evidence in class. There are topics, however, that are considered settled. The researcher Hess introduces us to the importance of differentiating between open versus settled questions. Open means that it is still open for debate. Closed means that a vast majority of the social scientists on this issue agree on a conclusion, so we don't discuss closed issues in the classroom. For example, we don't discuss global warming. Instead of asking, is the climate changing, it would be better to discuss, what should we do about it? Questions related to vaccines and their related health impacts have repeatedly been proven by scientific research and data, so we don't discuss whether vaccines create autism because there is a discoverable answer. We don't discuss whether or not the Holocaust existed. And we can use empirical data to begin conversations about race in the United States. We don't debate whether or not systemic racism exists. It is settled. It is not a topic to examine from multiple perspectives. Rather, we should discuss what to do about systemic racism. As your students get better at discussion and deepening the dialogue, you want to consider that there...
That is, sadly, how our teachers are taught to teach. Yeah, real science questions. Oh my, this is so Soviet. You damn right it is. But you know what's not? Buying delicious coffee like John Rail just did at forlibertyshop.com. You know, the leftists were trying to dunk all weekend saying, oh, we're so glad you lost your business. Oh, Austin, you're going to be bankrupt. Your wife is going to leave you. Everything's going to be bad. Do you guys want to know the best way to make sure that we own the libs? That's to go to forlibertyshop.com and get yourself a beautiful Gulf of America beach towel. It's the #1 seller recently, but overall, of course, our founding flavors coffee, quite delicious. But a Gulf of America Shark beach towel, they're amazing. They've got 5-star reviews. We only had one person return it because they said, oh, it's like squished, it's not good quality. You have to wash it once, dry it once. I need to like make sure those instructions are included. But wash it, dry it, and then it'll poof up, right? It gets kind of smushed during shipping. So support the For Liberty shop. Own the libs. I mean, absolutely guaranteed to own the libs. If you go to forlibertyshop.com and make sure that Stephanie and I don't fail, that we succeed, that we grow a new Liberty network, we create more jobs for people like Brad Beckman out there. We expand out of the shoe closet. So visit forlibertyshop.com. Quite popular these days are our American flag earrings. We also have Constitution earrings. People don't know that the AR-15 pillow be what it is, but it do. I cut fruits and vegetables on the George Washington cutting board every day. We also have a Calvin Coolidge one. The reason why you don't see anything like this anywhere else is because Stephanie and I design this stuff. Do we drop ship it? Yes. Do we print on demand? Yes. Are they still great quality, and do we check out our products? Yes. Do we have great reviews because we have great products? Yes. Do we charge reasonable prices? Yes. Donald Trump earrings, don't tread on me earrings. You won't find those many places else. But Jeffersonian Java, nowhere else. We designed it. Doge hoodie, I designed it. Divided States, designed it. Elon Musk's dark MAGA hat, designed it. Javier Milei's Afuera sneakers, designed them. So go to forlibertyshop.com and make sure that the libs are well and truly owned. So should Donald Trump accept a luxury Boeing 747 jumbo jet from the ruling family of Qatar during his trip to the Middle East? Absolutely not. What do you think? Send me a text. 573-319-1586 is the text line. That's 573-319-1586. I want to hear from you on that. And if you have a strong opinion, you can, of course, drop it in the chat. But it's a lot easier if you want to have your views read on air to just send me a text. And that way I can know what's on your mind. And you can share it with me. And yeah, let's do it.
Right now, what I think happened last election is younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with, that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated. And what's interesting about this moment is it feels like the two parties in some senses have flipped, where, you know, Republicans used to be the judgmental assholes in many ways. And since many Democrats, despite us, I would say for most of us coming from the right place of wanting to do the right thing, we've created a culture where we say, well, if you say the wrong thing, you're excommunicated. And that's just not how human beings work. Nobody is perfect, but ultimately what we have to do here is figure out how to bring people back in and work towards the bigger goal of advancing the future of this country and helping young people especially get by so that they're able to focus on their lives and, you know, getting with a young woman or something like that, instead of how are they going to pay their rent, for example, or how are they working their two jobs. Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun.
Okay, so maybe there's a reason why David Hogg got elected as vice chair of the DNC. That's a winning message. You Republicans had better watch out for that, because I'll tell you, as much stupidity comes out of the mouth of that David Hogg character, he's definitely been taking classes. The DNC has been giving him media training and saying things like, you know, getting young men laid. That's the kind of thing that will bring men back to the Democratic Party, which obviously is dangerous. Yeah, you beware Qatar is bearing airplanes, and beware Democrats with good messages. They've been trying it out. They've been testing it. They know that is a winning message because the Democratic Party is not the party of men. The Democratic Party is the party of women. And I think that the Democrats know that if they cannot get a single male vote, they're going to have to change tack. And that is absolutely the kind of tack that that's going to get more people to vote Democrat. Love it or hate it. What's Bill Maher saying this week? Or what else is Bill Maher saying this week?
And finally, Nero, let's hear it for Democratic politicians who keep it real. Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan says Democrats are, quote, weak and woke and should get some goddamn alpha energy and need to fucking retake the flag.
Well, Jesus.
I gotta say this.
I mean, here's the thing. That's true. She's right about that. And you better hope the Democrats don't run with that message. We better start backing off these tariffs, start paying attention when Austin Peterson goes to the National History Museum, American History Museum, the Smithsonian, Washington, D.C., and takes a tour group and gets told to put his American flag away. And what are the Republicans doing about it? Not much. But then what do you got? The Democrats saying shit like this. If the Democrats take off with that and saying they're going to get young men late, I'm telling you, we're sowing the seeds of the destruction of the Republican Party if we don't get our shit together and start being ready to counteract this stuff. We need to alpha up ourselves and stop with this pussy ass trying to, we're going to manage the economy. We're going to do all this stuff. We're going to have all these trade deals. The administration is off track. The Republican Party's off track. Get back on the tracks. Focus on the message that won the election in 2024. Stop all this shit with Greenland and Panama and all this kind of stuff. Let's focus on what truly makes America great again.
I love this new trend where politicians say fuck and shit. This used to never happen. Even when it did by mistake on a hot mic, it was a big scandal. But now, it's become a way for politicians to signal the public that they are not just regular mad about something, but really fucking serious.
Total bullshit.
An epic fuck up.
They call it a shit show. We need to unfuck our country.
They got him out on the radio anymore. You couldn't do this. Sorry for those who do not like strong language, but this Bill Maher segment.
I say to that bullshit.
Grow a fucking spine.
I can't stand the bullshit.
Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up.
And people love it. Look, a politician said fuck. It's like in a movie when they make an old white lady rap.
Hip hop, I hip it to the hip hop.
How do you do, fellow kids?
But here's the thing. Senator Slotkin is a serious person. She's a former CIA agent. You know how every streaming action movie now is about a soccer mom who used to be in the CIA?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really her. So we should listen to her because she's right. Lady Deadpool is right. Democrats should reclaim the flag and then get it clean because someone's been humping it.
Hey now, proud flag humper here.
But seriously, this is a serious problem for Democrats.
Yeah.
Less than 1 in 4 Democrats.
Don't tell them, Bill. Don't tell them this. We don't want the Democrats to know. Don't tell them.
God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective.
Thank you.
Is America perfect?
No.
No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. But
or Qatar, apparently. He's a big fan. He's a fan of them these days. Don't tell him, Bill.
But the U.S. is leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people. America has 14 million women-owned businesses. 17% of black women are starting businesses.
Don't tell him.
Which is faster than white women or white men. Gay Americans are free to marry, and 49% of them own property. Yes, in America, gays buy buildings. In other places, they get thrown off them.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh,
you know all those.
They don't like that. They don't like that. They don't want to hear that, Bill. They're just telling you.
Old movies you think are cringe? Well, they're cringe because America changed. Because we modernized. Way more than most societies have. Our current Congress is the most racially and ethnically diverse ever. They're like a beautiful, useless rainbow.
Man, he's got great writers.
And we proudly live in a land where every TV commercial features a mixed-race couple, including the ones where it makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean,
Mom's black, dad's white, and the kid's Asian.
Don't tell him that, Bill. We don't want the Democrats to know. We're going to have John Miltimore here in 12 minutes. Somebody texted in at 573-319-1586, and they texted in and they said that the Democrats don't know that they don't pay attention to your show where you've been talking about how the tariffs were a bad idea this whole time. Amen, Kim. Somebody says, you're a meme to the left, quote, libertarians at the moment, she says. Well, Kim Curry, you're absolutely correct. The left libertarians themselves are a meme to me. They're a meme to politics, and it's a sad state of affairs. Isn't it wild that I think Stephanie and I made the point, did she make it or did I make it on Friday? That it's like Chase Oliver was I didn't win the nomination of the Libertarian Party in 2016, but Chase Oliver did become the presidential candidate, and I feel like people have no idea who he is, but like I'm at least like a smidgen of relevant. At least people are trying to kill me. Nobody's trying to kill Chase Oliver. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, there's no death threats. You only get death threats if you're a threat. And boy, is my inbox full of death threats. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Are you enjoying the show so far? Would you like to support us by clicking the like button, or please, could you give me a crumb of Rumble rant? Drop a Rumble rant in the chat. Show your support. I saw that Steelbringer, our buddy Joel, was supporting the Wake Up America show this morning by gifting some subs. You can gift subs. You can drop Rumble rants. You see the little cash button over in the chat at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. There's 130 people watching the Wake Up America show live right now, which I'm thankful and glad to see. Sometimes we get lucky and we get featured on the front page, and we'll have thousands and thousands of people. And our show has been growing for 3 years as we've expanded the network into new shows, and much of it has to do with the fuel that we get. A large percentage of the revenue of the Wake Up America show comes in, not because we get huge audiences all the time, but because the audience who watches us are strong, they're dedicated, they're motivated, they know who I am, they know what we're all about, they know what we're doing over here, and they tend to open up their wallets and they tend to donate. And if you haven't done that yet, and if you've watched the Wake Up America show for like 3 months or so, 6 months, and you've started to get acclimated, I'd like to invite you today to just take your very first step to making a donation, and you can just drop $1 into the Rumble rant till. Rumble takes a percentage of that, a small percentage of that, and that's fine. I don't mind supporting Rumble because Rumble supports me. But I'd like to invite everybody today, if you haven't donated before, to make a small donation, a Rumble rant at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. If you make a small donation, the idea here is, the psychology is, if you do it once, you'll do it again. But some people are like, oh, I don't want to have to go through the whole process to set up my credit card. But I'm asking you as a favor today, if you haven't, if you would like to, please do. If you can, I understand. Some people are getting hit hard by the economy, and not everybody can do it, but you can support the show for free just by clicking the like button, or perhaps even sharing it with your friends. We'd be very grateful. And if you're interested in more capitalistic approaches, if you go to forlibertyshop.com, that's the number 4libertyshop.com. If you go to forlibertyshop.com, buy a box of coffee or maybe a Gulf of America beach towel or a t-shirt, then that's another way to support the show rather than just doing dropping a Rumble rant. What's up, Hammerlagger? Nice to see you, bud.
So what? It's like your normal type back home. Like, Yeah, mine's quite interesting because like I'd probably identify more as queer. So I'm basically a trans man.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was born female, but then realized when I was about 15, like something's really not right. I always knew I liked guys.
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't feel like a straight girl. I was like, I feel like a gay guy. Like it just.
So did you transition at 15?
I started socially transitioning like I was about 17.
Okay.
Then I started taking hormones just before I was 18. And then ever since then, I found it so much easier to navigate dating and potential romantic partners and stuff. You know.
So, born a woman, attracted to men, but a gay man. Stop. Just think about it for a second. Born a woman, attracted to men, which you might consider to be straight, right? Heterosexual. Born a woman, attracted to men, and considers themselves a man. So a gay man. But not gay because she's straight. But she's a woman, but she's not a man. Oh my God, guys. And here's the thing, and this is what I think is so funny about this, is they put a woman on a gay dating show, and I'm not going to stop screaming about it, writes Sean on the right. He says, every single one of the men know that if they don't play pretend, they'll be called a bigot and blacklisted. Okay, yes. So here's the thing, and this is funny. My brother talks to me about this whole concept now. So this is a gay man. The one that you're seeing on the screen right now, that is a gay man. Born a man. Is a gay man attracted to men, other men, right? He's speaking to a woman, identifies as a man, but is a woman, attracted to men. So she's straight, he's gay. He's a man, she's a biological woman, thinks she's a man. But here's the thing. If you're in the gay community and you don't pretend like, because biologically that's a female. He's not attracted to women. If you're a gay man and you have to pretend as if you might be interested in this person, even though you're a gay man, make it make sense. Do I really have to think about it? Yes, Luke, you do. These are the issues that you're going to have to contend with. I mean, God darn it. I have a child now. I have to think about all of these trends and how to deal with them. Back in my day, you didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Now you do. It's a subject of national conversation. So now you have to consider that your daughter, who is a woman, you might say, oh, she's attracted to boys. Okay, great. She's fine. She's straight. She's going to go out and have a normal life. Everything will be fine. She'll have kids. You know, we'll have a big, healthy, natural, big, large family. Okay, yes, she is attracted to men, but she doesn't consider herself a woman. She considers herself a man who's a gay man. So she's living out the fantasy of being a gay man and then trying to date men who are gay men who are not attracted to women. You're going to have to know this stuff, guys. I know this is the subject of South Park topic material 15 years ago, but it's now the mainstream, and we have to talk about it. But maybe we should talk about something else because, frankly, it's time to talk a little bit about the economy. Stupid. I've got John Miltimore. He's from the American Institute of Economic Research. He's going to be joining us live in less than 5. Do not go away. Brief little commercial break. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Hey guys, instead of commercials, I'll give you the bonus content from Friday because you unlocked it already anyway, guys. You deserve it, and I love you. Do drop a Rumble rant in the tip jar, though. What's more dangerous than a 10-foot alligator in your backyard? A government that fines you for dealing with it. It's almost summer. The kids are out of school, the grills are firing up, and all across Florida, prehistoric death lizards are sunbathing on sidewalks. You know, the usual. But this year there's a twist. If one of those gators shows up on your property, you better not touch it, unless you're ready for a third-degree felony and a $5,000 fine. Because in Florida, the state doesn't just regulate traffic and taxes. It regulates whether or not you're allowed to protect your property from a literal apex predator. Under Florida's alligator management program, if a gator over 4 feet long starts acting aggressive or gets too close to your house, you're not allowed to handle it yourself. Nope. That job belongs to one of only 113 state-licensed nuisance alligator trappers. That's 113 people, in a state of 22 million, authorized to deal with aggressive prehistoric reptiles. There are more professional food critics in Florida than authorized gator wranglers. And if you're not one of them and decide to defend your own property, that's a felony. Let's say you see a gator walking up your driveway. It's hissing, snapping, and headed straight for your dog or your kids. Your instincts say, handle it. Your government says, wait. You are legally obligated to call the state, hope someone picks up, and pray that one of the 113 trapper samurais can make it before things get ugly. In Jacksonville, a 10-foot alligator was spotted lounging in the median of I-95. Cops showed up. They couldn't shoot it, couldn't move it. They had to just stand there with real guns, real authority, and zero legal power because the gator had more bureaucratic protection than the public. It's not just ridiculous, it's dangerous. And it's part of a bigger trend, licensed helplessness. We now live in a country where the state sees your property as its jurisdiction and your self-defense as a regulated privilege. And if a bloodthirsty lizard crawls into your yard, sorry, you're not trained. You didn't take the state-sponsored course. You don't have the laminated card. This isn't about wildlife conservation. This is about control. Let's break this down. You're not allowed to act until one of the government's chosen few arrives with a net, some duct tape, and a badge that says approved by Tallahassee. Until then, keep your hands in your pockets and hope the gator is vegan. This is government overreach at its finest, the kind that turns common sense into a criminal offense. You're not allowed to protect your children, your dog, or your guests unless you've filled out the right paperwork and paid the right fees. It's one thing to have laws that protect endangered animals. It's another thing entirely to make homeowners felons for trying to protect their homes from 500 pounds of armored reptile muscle. And yet, that's where we are. Let's talk about property rights and self-defense. If you can't defend your home from a wild animal, do you really own it? Or are you just renting from the government until a licensed professional gives you the green light to intervene? This isn't just a Florida thing. This is a warning sign for every American who believes in the right to protect what's theirs. We've normalized the idea that our rights stop where bureaucracy begins. And the more we accept it, the more absurd and dangerous the rules become. We've reached a point where a swamp creature has more immediate legal protection than you do. Think about that next time you're out mowing the lawn and you see something move in the bushes. So, as summer kicks into full swing and people across the country head outside to grill, relax, and enjoy the sun, remember this. If you're in Florida, you better enjoy it from a safe distance, and with your lawyer on speed dial. Because if the wrong kind of wildlife shows up, you're not just calling animal control. You're playing Russian roulette with the penal code. And that's why liberty matters. Not because it's fashionable, not because it's nostalgic, but because without the ability to protect yourself, your home, and your family, all the rest of your rights are just decoration. So let's make this summer count. Let's make it a summer of freedom. At 4libertyshop.com, we've got everything you need to declare independence from overreach. Shirts that say, I own my property, mugs that warn bureaucrats to back off, and gear that proudly says what you're all thinking. Don't make me get the gator. This summer, we don't take orders from reptiles or regulators. We defend our homes, we speak the truth, and we do it in style. Check out the Summer of Freedom collection at 4libertyshop.com and show the swamp you're not scared. Because liberty doesn't take a summer break. See you next time. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a redcoat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors, and trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
We have 25% tariffs that were set under President Trump's first term. I don't hear a single word, not a single word about those tariffs. No consumers in America, those were set in 2017 and 2018. No consumers in America sit here complaining about those tariffs.
Well, prices
what happens is the
have gone up for lots of reasons.
Currencies. Oh, no. Don't talk about the Biden inflation. That's another whole gig. When we left, when President Trump in 2019 had the lowest inflation in history. So
let me ask.
You know that this works really, really well. It works well. These countries and the businesses have to compete. Yep. They have to cut prices. You've seen it.
Okay, I'm not convinced. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. The U.S. and China agreed to large tariff cuts. The global markets are rallying this morning, according to the Wall Street Journal. Futures surge after both sides slashed tariffs with more trade negotiations planned. I thought the tariffs were supposed to make America strong. Why are we getting rid of the tariffs if they're so great and wonderful and amazing? Here to join us to talk about Chinese shoes with pictures of Javier Milei on them saying "afuera" is John Miltimore from the AIER, I believe. That's it. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, AP. How you doing today?
Doing good, sir. Hope you had a happy Mother's Day with your lovely wife and your mother, if she's still around. My mother is gone, but I have my lovely Stephanie, and I have a mother-in-law. So give it up for all the moms out there. Hope you had a good one.
Here, here.
Everybody loves moms. Maybe somebody needs to send some mommies into the White House and get a charge. There's I think I might be buying into a leftist talking point. There might be too much toxic masculinity. Just kidding. So, John, you saw what's been going on over the weekend about like this surge of attacks that I've been getting. Well, it's all about tariffs because the libertarians are mad at me that I voted for Trump. So they're like, Austin, we're glad your shoe business. You're getting what you deserve. We want your business to fail. Blah, right? And then you have the socialists who are attacking me for like the same reasons. They don't know who I am, but they're just like going crazy. And then, of course, the MAGA tariff supporters are all like, this will bring back jobs. But I guess the jobs aren't coming back because now the tariffs are paused. John, make it make sense.
Hey, I can't make this make sense. It was funny. I woke up this morning and I was making my coffee. I get my phone out and I look at my stocks. And I'm like, whoa. What's going on? Like everything's suddenly green, and 15 minutes later, I see that. Oh, okay, we announced we're pausing those tariffs on China, which is good. Okay, I'm happy we're pausing the 90-day tariff pause. But to your point, we were told this was going to make America great again. We were told that this is going to bring jobs back and manufacturing back, all these things. If this is the case, why are we? It's China's tariffs were the last, right? Like the initial Liberation Day, we paused all those tariffs already except for China. Now China's being paused. Markets are responding rationally, and that's good to see. But did we really have to go through the last month and a half to get here? And markets haven't recovered, entirely yet. If you look, these last 6 weeks have been historically chaotic. The uncertainty index was higher on April 5th than it was after COVID. Think of that. So all of this, uncertainty that we injected into affairs, you've had businesses have been wiped out. I know people that have had their businesses wiped out. It sounds like you have gone through some of with your shoe business here that was turned upside down. Playing games in this way with tariffs is very dangerous. That said, I hope people like Bessent and I hear Lutnick behind the scenes is one that is working to get Trump to lift these tariffs.
So like,
Navarro is
I've heard that too.
Flat earther.
Navarro's like the flat earther. But the thing is that like you've got Lutnick out saying all this really dumb stuff on tariffs. But then I'm hearing that and Lutnick was the guy that I was just playing there. So you think Lutnick is kind of like playing the public game one way and the private game another? How embarrassing!
100%
embarrassing. I would not want that job.
I know other people. Yeah, there's. And I will say, to an extent, you have to do this in politics, right?
Yeah.
You have to go out there and toe the line publicly. What we're seeing, though, is the degree that we have, people in the economic space, for Trump, that would be very difficult. You got guys like Stephen Moore. Stephen Moore is a very good economist. He's a bright guy. He doesn't want to have to go on TV and defend these tariffs. He doesn't. But he also needs to kind of, stay in the good graces of the Trump administration. You have all kinds of people that are trying to navigate that. But let's go back to Econ 101. Lutnick can say all he wants that American consumers don't pay the price for tariffs that other countries do. That's not true. And Lutnick needs to. I don't care if behind the scenes he's doing a little bit of this face to the public and this. You got to get basic econ right. These are taxes on consumers. This is not, even if consumers might not pay the full 100% of the tariff, they're paying the vast majority of it. And I don't want a $1 trillion tax. Like Americans can't afford a $1 trillion tax. I'd like to see a little bit more focus on slashing spending. It has to happen. We can't be running with $2 trillion deficits year after year. So stop focusing on the trade deficit, which I like to refer to as a capital surplus, and start focusing on the actual, the deficit, our budgetary deficit, which is a real problem.
The political reason is fairly straightforward. The political reason is that the interests that press for protection are concentrated. The people who are harmed by protection are spread and diffused. Indeed, the very language shows the political pressure. We call a tariff a protective measure. It does protect. It protects the consumer very well against one thing. It protects the consumer against low prices.
Dude, nobody says it better than Milton Friedman. The tariffs protect us from low prices.
I don't think we've focused enough about the political, public choice theory. Somebody should write a dissertation on this, just on how the political incentives that have delivered us here. Because what I think we've seen, there's two things. One, I think Americans, we're very wealthy, but we're also very unhappy. Right, I think there is a sense that something is wrong, something needs to be fixed, and what the tariffs have done is they've tapped into that resentment Americans feel, and they get to blame it on China or Vietnam, and I think that's what tariffs are really. Churchill called socialism the gospel of envy. I think tariffs are kind of the gospel of resentment, and all of the negative energy Americans have, they can say that it's China. China is screwing us. Mexico is screwing us. And Trump has tapped into that very effectively, and he's been channeling that message since the 80s, by the way. He's always been, he does not like trade. For whatever reason.
Isn't it wild that that's the only thing that he's an ideologue about? That's the only thing that he truly, that's the only thing he truly believes in.
Truly. Yeah, no, he's very adaptable in his politics and most things. He has a hostility to trade that I really don't understand. But politically, there for a long time, politically, there's advantage in this because you can tap into the resentments and you can blame those people overseas that are taking your jobs, that are hurting you, and politically, this is an effective tool. Frank Knight wrote about this. I think in the 50s, there's a great quote that said, "The free traders win the arguments, but the protectionists, they win the political battle."
Mm-hmm.
And because you can kind of tap into the resentment, people that they feel over life in general and all these things, and find boogeymen and blame them. We've been, I kind of thought we had left this one behind a century ago, but we're seeing protectionism is rearing its head. Where we go from here, I think, is anybody's guess. But I hopefully the Trump administration is pulling, stepping off the gas pedal on this, because the market is serving as the best check here, right? Congress isn't doing their job. They're the ones that gave the executive, this kind of unilateral emergency power to do this. Courts, aren't able to do anything. The market is the one. Markets tank, in front of these tariffs. Trump, I think, doesn't want that to happen, so he is, taking his foot off the gas, so to speak.
Apple considers raising iPhone prices, but they don't want to blame it on tariffs. That's interesting. It's kind of fascinating because you have people sort of arguing it both ways, that the tariffs are a negotiating tactic, which I'm sympathetic to that topic. I'm sympathetic to that point of view, especially because it confirms that you and I are absolutely correct on the economics, that the tariffs are a bad thing. If the tariffs are just a negotiating tactic to get lower tariffs from other countries, then I'm for it. If the tariffs are meant to actually provide the benefits that the communists claim that they have, the Marxists claim they have, well, then I feel the need to step in and to slap people around a little bit. You can't on one hand say that the tariffs are supposed to be an economic good, and then when you get rid of the tariffs, you say, oh, well, good. See, it was already the deal. The whole point was to have fewer tariffs. Yeah, but you said that the tariffs were good. I mean, technically, you should still be for the tariffs. So, I mean, obviously, some people are just, paid merchants of the regime, like Lutnick and others. But there are people out there who are believing what Bernie Sanders and AOC have to say about it, right? And the Democrats, of course, are mad. It's funny because the majority of the death threats that I've been getting over the last few days have been coming from the left, John. But they all are mad just because it's not Democratic tariffs. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly right. No, if Democrats were doing this, most of the Republicans support. They would be pulling their hair out. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. I actually talked to a dear friend of mine over the weekend. We got into this discussion, and he knows that I don't approve of these tariffs. And I got him to say, well, of course he wouldn't be supporting it if the Democrats were doing it. But his whole point is, I trust Trump. I trust Trump. Well, I trust him. and you really can't argue with that. That's not an argument. If you just are going to say, I trust whatever the president does, okay. I can't dissuade you of that. But for people that take ideas seriously, people who take economics seriously, this is very frustrating.
Well, they get mad at us. They get mad at us because we're nerds, and they're we're talking down to them. And some of us are smug, and some of us are smarmy. But that's what you get when you're also correct.
Well, and that's what he also said. He said, I'm tired of the experts being right. I'm tired of the experts. And I'm here. I get tired of the experts too. I was on the Dave Smith side. You and I talked about it when they were trying to say Dave can't talk about this because he's not an expert. He's never been there. To me, that reeked of elitism. To me, I don't want to go. We don't have to, relitigate that. But I get why there's hostility to the experts. We went through the pandemic where the experts were telling us we're going to have 50 million dead. We need to do all these things to keep safe. My mantra is not listen to the experts, but that doesn't mean that economics ceases to exist. We need to be able to think for ourselves. This mentality that we should just trust Trump and do whatever Trump says, to me that's very creepy.
Well, say no more of faith in men, but bind them down to the chains of the Constitution. Thus saith the Lord thy Thomas Jefferson. Jeffersonian. So, it's our fault for being eggheads, John. How dare we spend time and study and learn this shit and try and to think about things before we try and make a better world. How dare we not, just be out on the bayou, alligator hunting, and then decide one day that we know everything about politics and deign to tell everyone else what to do democratically. How dare we not, come of age and start a Twitter account called Cat Turd and become smear merchants for the regime. That's our fault, our bad.
I guess we're just smug elitists.
I guess we are.
That's how we are.
Yeah, just
your point. Your point about Jefferson, I think, is a good one. It was something I thought about earlier today. I thought I might bring up on your show. For years, the only people that would talk about the imperial presidency and its dangers were libertarians and maybe a few conservatives that would say like you shouldn't be putting all this power in a single person that can wield this unilaterally. Like, this is a danger. For probably 20 years, I think libertarians and conservatives were the only one that really argued that. Well, now the left is seeing it. They're the ones saying like, oh my gosh, like how can you have one person dictating all of this economic policy? I see people, Democrats that are saying like this is dangerous. Well, yeah, we've been saying that for a very long time. My hope, if there was a silver lining that would come out of this, it's that more people would recognize that as a danger. And we say, no, Congress actually needs to legislate. We can't just have a president signing and doing whatever he wants and giving orders for the entire economy. It's an incredible danger, and it's leading to a lot of chaos, as we've seen in the last couple months.
I become increasingly convinced that if there's going to be a change, or if there's going to be any sort of movement towards our ideas, it's probably not going to come from the Congress, John, just because there's no incentive for the Congress to do the right thing. We sort of have created this imperial presidency, and probably the only way to fix it is to get a Caesar who's like one of us, essentially, and hope. I mean, and in some ways, Trump purported to be that, right, before he took over, was to go and in many ways he has laid out executive orders that have done exact. I mean, if it were you or I who are president of the United States, I could see, and maybe I shouldn't speak for you, maybe you should tell me, but would you have pretty much written an executive order the same way Trump did when it came to the Department of Education? Because the way I thought he did it was perfect, because he says, to the maximum extent allowable by law, defunding the Department of Education, shutting down their institutions, all of that. I mean, that seemed like the right way to go in terms of, Congress created the Department of Education, but president has a lot of discretion over budgets. So just wiping out everything that the federal government has in terms of his administration, other than like some diversity, equity, inclusion slapdowns that he wants to do in terms of holding up dollars. I think that was the right move and the right way to go. And probably, sadly, because of the imperial presidency, the only way we're going to see true libertarian reforms in the future. Are you correct? Am I correct? Or, mix of the two?
I agree with most what you say there. Like, the Department of Education is a good example. But I'll even point out, you say it was passed by Congress. Well, first it was passed by executive order. Mm-hmm. And Congress came in after the fact and did it. So I think the Trump administration was on firm ground there. They're doing the same thing that happened when the Department of Education was created, except in reverse. We're going to first do an executive order. I hope Congress goes after the fact and takes that and puts their stamp of approval on it. I think it kind of needs that to have legitimacy. And so that's an example of the executive power being used in the correct way. You can find plenty of examples. We haven't spent a lot of time on the deportations that are happening right now, and I think there's all kinds of problems there. And we're talking, we saw the administration floating the idea of just suspending habeas corpus. Stephen Miller floated that idea, which is actually happening to some people. And I've had a lot of conversations with people on this front, and people like they want illegal immigrants gone. They don't care how it happens. That's what they tell me. Well, it doesn't work that way. Habeas corpus does apply if you're going to put someone into prison, which is what we're seeing. If you want to deport this MS-13 gang member, okay, like, we have a procedure for that, and it's pretty fast. You can do that. But to take that man and then stick him in a prison in El Salvador without charging him, that is not right. That's not constitutional. These are it's an egregious violation of civil liberties. And those are things that I think are dangerous. We need to have better procedures for this. It's getting very messy. We're probably going to have people in these prisons that die. I mean, let's face it, right? Like when you look at the scale of deportations, I don't know how many are in prisons in El Salvador right now, but I know it's a lot. And again, these people haven't been charged with
conservatives.
Are they criminals? Maybe.
Conservatives would say you have suicidal empathy, John. Do you have suicidal empathy for MS-13 gang members?
No, I don't. And again, like, you can deport these people. I have no problem with deporting them, but you can't go and stick them in a foreign prison without a charge. That's a very serious violation of civil liberties. Again, I'm aware most conservatives don't care. I'm talking to family members. I'm talking to friends. They don't care. They want them gone. And again, I said, okay, deport them. Like, the DOJ has very streamlined process for deporting people. You can do that. But to stick that person in prison without a charge, that's a different thing.
If they're from El Salvador,
and I have
but if they're
serious
but here's the challenge is that that we face here is what happens when someone comes from another country and then comes here illegally, and then they commit a violent crime here in the United States. You say deport them, but if you just deport them, then they come back and they commit another violent crime again. And we've seen this happening, John. So I mean, okay, fine, charge them, deport them. But shouldn't they go to a prison? Should we house them in prison here first? And then send them back, because that's what we're doing right now. Somebody is an illegal immigrant. They come here. They serve time in an American detention center. We're paying money to feed them, clothe them, house them here. Why not just ship them to the prison in El Salvador, then have to pay to burden that cost? It costs us less money. This is a real problem because we sort of have conflicting issues here. You see what I'm saying? Like, how to...
But let's go back just to the example.
Should they be in prison here or put them in El Salvador? Seems like a better idea to put them in El Salvador, just from a gut hunch.
As long as they've been charged and convicted of a crime, I don't think it matters. Like, if you want to charge and convict them and hold them here, okay. If you want to return them to their country of origin, okay. But they need to be charged and convicted of a crime, and that's what's not happening here. And that is, I'll say it again, it's a gross violation of civil liberties. Habeas corpus does apply to non-citizens. We have the Constitution makes it very clear in its language, and we have 100 years plus of court precedents that say this. And again, I don't need to be soft. You have a MS-13 gang member that you don't want here, you can deport that person. But you can't stick them into a prison without a charge, and that's what we're doing.
But you said
that needs to stop.
You said you don't think it matters that we house them in a jail here or house them in a jail in El Salvador. Let's say they are convicted of a crime, but I think it does matter. Doesn't it matter especially if our prisons are overcrowded? Doesn't it matter that we decide to either put them in prison here or put them in prison in El Salvador? I think it matters, doesn't it? I mean, it matters a lot. Should they?
Yeah, I guess what I was saying is it's not a. For me, it's not a huge difference. If you want to stick them in El Salvador, sure, so we don't have to foot the cost. That's fine. I'm just saying, to me, it's not a huge difference. I would make the case, sure, like, if we have a country of origin that's willing to take them, yeah, like then we can send them back to El Salvador, and the El Salvador government is playing along. I would even say, again, I don't want to get ahead of my skis. I'm not a legal scholar. Let's say it was a Venezuelan violent criminal, and he's been charged and convicted. Then you could probably put him in an El Salvador prison. If you want. But to me, what matters is they need to be charged and they need to be convicted. But when you're doing that without, in the absence of that's a very serious constitutional violation. And we're seeing it. I get that people are frustrated with immigration. I get that immigration policy for the last 10, 15, 20 years has caused a lot of problems. The U.S. immigration policy was schizophrenic. We didn't really have a policy, and we're paying the price for that now. But these mass deportations, again, if you want to try this, okay. If we think we can actually deport 13, 15 million people, okay. But you can't put people in prison without a charge. To me, that's a very simple, hard line.
Okay. John, any other topics or things that you think we missed today, or things you'd like to share or discuss with our audience before we let you go?
Nothing on my end. Check out my Substack, The Take by John Miltimore. I write there, pretty frequently. So,
Very great
so
plug,
if you're not signed
John.
up yet, check it out.
It's a fantastic blog. It's a must read. You have to subscribe to it.
I can't oversell my own stuff. Yeah, but no, if you like my work, find me there.
This is it. John, you need to take us a lesson from the school of apforlibertyshop.com and hawk your stuff a lot harder. I'll do it for you, John, after you get off.
I will. Okay, if you want my one, I got going up tomorrow.
Give me a hard sell.
Here it is. No, like I blasted the Trump administration enough over the last 10, 15 minutes, but I defend the Trump administration for defunding PBS and NPR. And that article will be up tomorrow. And to me, this is one of the things you say. Like Austin, I was like you, maybe not as enthusiastic. I did end up voting for Trump, and so much I've been very frustrated because I've seen all these things that are infuriating me. But there is some good things happening, and this is not a small thing. Defunding NPR and PBS, it's not just about the dollars. It's about the dollars that influence media. And that's what we've seen. Get government out of media. Government-sponsored media is not good. The ones that really loved it, if you look back, one of the first publicly funded media operations in the world was Mussolini's operation in Italy in 1924.
No!
Right? Like, so
we got to call somebody
fascists love public media. So get government out of media.
You're a great guy, John Miltimore. Thanks for your devotion, commitment to the principles of liberty. We'd be glad to have you be a regular guest. We've been glad to have you as a regular guest on the show every Monday, 8 a.m. Central. We'll look forward to seeing you again next Monday. Thanks so much, John.
Hey, thanks for being with you, AP. Have a good week.
Thank you. Have a good week.
But here is the dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries. Someone needs to tell the kids that America is not the society where women basically have no rights, where there's zero freedom of religion and where dissent is punishable by death. Our democracy may be on life support, but we still have elections. They don't. And yet at Coachella this year, when an Irish rap group projected onto screens, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine," got big applause. "Globalize the Intifada" is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems. At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag.
Cringe.
And the crowd erupted in approval.
Ugh.
What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, "This is not a symbol of freedom. This is."
Bro, that is a paid clapper. You might as well just why pay for people to clap in the audience, Bill? I'm thinking about going to Bill Maher's show next Friday night, by the way, if I can get tickets and if circumstances don't prevent. But you heard that person. That was the producer in the audience, and then everybody else paid clappers because, honestly, the left does not like that message. What Bill is telling to the Democrats right now is absolutely true, but they do not want to hear it.
Young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is.
Bro, the Democrats do not want to hear that. Listen to that. Don't do that. Why pay the audience, Bill? I'll come out there next week. Actually, this week. I'm going to be in Los Angeles this Thursday and Friday. By the way, no show Thursday, Friday, guys. Premiere of my new movie, Killing Mary Sue. It's going to be at the Independent Film Festival in Los Angeles. I will be flying there on Thursday, hopefully doing meetings on Friday. The premiere is Saturday night, and I'm flying back on Sunday. So no show Thursday, Friday. I will be in Los Angeles. Check out Killing Mary Sue on imdb.com. It got picked up by the Goldwyn Group, so it will be distributed, and will be coming to a theater near you potentially this summer, maybe this fall. So keep an eye out for that one because it got a distribution deal. So my new movie, Killing Mary Sue, and my even newer movie, The Battle of Athens, Bleed American. Working on that one as well. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show today, click that like button if you haven't already. Click the follow button as well. We're going to take a quick little break. We'll play the bonus content from Friday. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Go shopping at 4libertyshop.com. Enjoy the bonus content today. Alligators in Florida, Florida man, and the fight for freedom. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. 44444. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. You know what's more dangerous than a 10-foot alligator in your backyard? A government that fines you for dealing with it. It's almost summer. The kids are out of school, the grills are firing up, and all across Florida, prehistoric death lizards are sunbathing on sidewalks. You know, the usual. But this year there's a twist. If one of those gators shows up on your property, you better not touch it, unless you're ready for a third-degree felony and a $5,000 fine. Because in Florida, the state doesn't just regulate traffic and taxes. It regulates whether or not you're allowed to protect your property from a literal apex predator. Under Florida's alligator management program, if a gator over 4 feet long starts acting aggressive or gets too close to your house, you're not allowed to handle it yourself. Nope. That job belongs to one of only 113 state-licensed nuisance alligator trappers. That's 113 people, in a state of 22 million, authorized to deal with aggressive prehistoric reptiles. There are more professional food critics in Florida than authorized gator wranglers. And if you're not one of them and decide to defend your own property, that's a felony. Let's say you see a gator walking up your driveway. It's hissing, snapping, and headed straight for your dog or your kids. Your instincts say, handle it. Your government says, wait. You are legally obligated to call the state, hope someone picks up, and pray that one of the 113 trapper samurais can make it before things get ugly. In Jacksonville, a 10-foot alligator was spotted lounging in the median of I-95. Cops showed up. They couldn't shoot it, couldn't move it. They had to just stand there with real guns, real authority, and zero legal power because the gator had more bureaucratic protection than the public. It's not just ridiculous, it's dangerous. And it's part of a bigger trend, licensed helplessness. We now live in a country where the state sees your property as its jurisdiction and your self-defense as a regulated privilege. And if a bloodthirsty lizard crawls into your yard, sorry, you're not trained. You didn't take the state-sponsored course. You don't have the laminated card. This isn't about wildlife conservation. This is about control. Let's break this down. You're not allowed to act until one of the government's chosen few arrives with a net, some duct tape, and a badge that says approved by Tallahassee. Until then, keep your hands in your pockets and hope the gator is vegan. This is government overreach at its finest, the kind that turns common sense into a criminal offense. You're not allowed to protect your children, your dog, or your guests unless you've filled out the right paperwork and paid the right fees. It's one thing to have laws that protect endangered animals. It's another thing entirely to make homeowners felons for trying to protect their homes from 500 pounds of armored reptile muscle. And yet, that's where we are. Let's talk about property rights and self-defense. If you can't defend your home from a wild animal, do you really own it? Or are you just renting from the government until a licensed professional gives you the green light to intervene? This isn't just a Florida thing. This is a warning sign for every American who believes in the right to protect what's theirs. We've normalized the idea that our rights stop where bureaucracy begins, and the more we accept it, the more absurd and dangerous the rules become. We've reached a point where a swamp creature has more immediate legal protection than you do. Think about that next time you're out mowing the lawn and you see something move in the bushes. So, as summer kicks into full swing and people across the country head outside to grill, relax, and enjoy the sun, remember this. If you're in Florida, you better enjoy it from a safe distance, and with your lawyer on speed dial. Because if the wrong kind of wildlife shows up, you're not just calling animal control. You're playing Russian roulette with the penal code. And that's why liberty matters. Not because it's fashionable, not because it's nostalgic, but because without the ability to protect yourself, your home, and your family, all the rest of your rights are just decoration. So let's make this summer count. Let's make it a summer of freedom. At 4libertyshop.com, we've got everything you need to declare independence from overreach. Shirts that say, I own my property, mugs that warn bureaucrats to back off, and gear that proudly says what you're all thinking. Don't make me get the gator. This summer, we don't take orders from reptiles or regulators. We defend our homes, we speak the truth, and we do it in style. Check out the Summer of Freedom collection at 4libertyshop.com and show the swamp you're not scared. Because liberty doesn't take a summer break. See you next time. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
So tell me, you lived here for 30-something years. They're classifying this fire as a potential hate crime. What do you think about that?
I think that if people just stayed in their own side of town, their own neighborhood, that things like that wouldn't happen.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, every race and color has their own section of Buffalo almost, so if they just stay on their own side, things like this wouldn't happen. People in these neighborhoods don't want those type of people moving down here and ruining the property value and destroying the neighborhood, so when things like that happen, it shouldn't be such a shock.
What do you mean by those types of people?
Minorities. African Americans.
Are you suggesting that they should stay on the east side rather than coming here to South Buffalo?
Well, they've already wrecked the east side. Why should they come down to the south side and wreck that neighborhood?
Do you think that by saying these things, people on the other side of the city get offended? Do you think that there's some sort of a bias, potentially?
A lot of people feel this way. They just won't say it.
But you are?
Yeah.
Why are you coming out and saying these things?
Because I own a home and I see what happens when they move into the neighborhood. Property value goes down, kids on the corner, crime goes up. The east side used to be a beautiful place. Look what they did to that.
Do you think that there's an issue, though, in what you're saying?
Well, I'm sure there is, but, I mean, you got to take a look at why it's an issue.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, they just ruin neighborhoods.
I guess what I'm getting at is that you're generalizing tremendously. These people might have just been here looking for a different way of life, a better way of life.
Maybe the people are afraid what after you let one.
city get offended? Do you think that there's some sort of a bias, potentially?
A lot of people feel this way. They just won't say it.
But you are.
Yeah.
Why are you coming out and saying these things?
Because I own a home and I see what happens when they move into the neighborhood. Property value goes down, kids on the corner, crime goes up. The East Side used to be a beautiful place. Look what they did to that.
Do you think that there's an issue, though, in what you're saying?
Well, I'm sure there is, but, I mean, you got to take a look at why it's an issue.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, they just ruin neighborhoods.
I guess what I'm getting at is that you're generalizing tremendously. These people might have just been here looking for a different way of life, a better way of life.
Maybe people are afraid after you let one family in, then more of them come in. You know, that's just how it is around here.
Well, that's just how it is around here. Boy, that white boy didn't back down, did he? Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Ning a 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 ning a. Killing Mary Sue. Who's Mary Sue? Oh, killing Mary Sue. And why do we want to kill her? We don't want to kill Mary Sue. We want to see a comedy action caper coming to a theater near you, thanks to Samuel Goldwyn, starring. Well, I'm not starring in it, but I'm in it. Very, very, very briefly. In a very, very tiny part. And not my face, but my voice. Samuel Goldwyn, big movie distributor, acquires North American rights for the action caper Killing Mary Sue, starring Sierra McCormick, Dermot Mulroney, Sean Patrick Flannery, Jason Mewes, Snoochie Boochies, Jay and Silent Bob, and, of course, my hero, one of my heroes from one of my favorite movies ever that inspired me to become a Japanese karate sensei like I am today. Martin Kove, the head of Cobra Kai from Karate Kid. God, I hope he's there. I hope he comes and hangs out. I'm going to fanboy. I don't care. I've met all my heroes in life except for Daniel LaRusso and except for Ralph Macchio and Martin Kove from Karate Kid. But hopefully he'll be at the premiere this Saturday night. I'll be there in Los Angeles this week. No Thursday, Friday show on the Wake Up America show because I got to go to Los Angeles not only for the film premiere of this new movie I'm in, but I'm also going to be doing what I can to try and sell the rights potentially to my own documentary, The Battle of Athens, which we're in pre-production for right now. We got a lot of work to do, and about 30 days, a little bit more than 30 days, a month and a week until we go into full-blown production for the shot of a lifetime, the shoot of a lifetime, 3 days in Boonville, Missouri. We're still looking to acquire some resources. If people know where we can find any more vehicles from the 1930s, 40s, maybe in 50s, we can fake it and squeeze it a little bit. If anybody has a Jeep, perhaps, that we could borrow for the film shoot for my Battle of Athens documentary. The hope is that I'll be able to have some meetings this Friday with some industry insiders and be able to convince them to take a look at what I'm working on and potentially have buy-in so we can get our first feature-length film documentary on something like Amazon Prime or on like Tubi or, to be or not to be. We're going to do our best because when I started the Wake Up America show 3 years ago, I told you that this podcast would become a platform to try and do things like grow a full network with more shows. We're doing that, grow and take our mini documentaries and start turning them into full-length documentaries, and now we're doing that. And promises made, promises kept. So the hope is that I'll be able to make some good connections this weekend in Los Angeles with some people, some insiders in the movie industry, and make some connections that I can use to helpfully springboard our own projects. Because wouldn't it be great to have our own Liberty community that can create incredible moving pictures and tell stories tell our stories the way that they deserve to be told. No more of these Che Guevara biopics where they're like, oh, Che Guevara. We need biopics, Ludwig von Mises, and tell this tale of his escape across the Alps. Like, the sound of music and the little children, the Von Trapp children, Doe, a deer, a female deer, Ray, Ludwig von Mises runs from the Nazis, you'll never be one of them. Oh, I am 16, going on 17. Hopefully my trip to LA will prove to be very fruitful and meaty. We'll make some industry connections. What do you say, guys? Aren't you tired of Hollywood being fake and gay? How about if it's just, why don't we just make it gay again? Just kidding. The gay, like in like happy. Totally unprepared are you to deal with Hollywood? Well, guess what? AP's going out there this weekend to meet and greet with the filmmakers who cast me in a tiny little role in this awesome new movie. Samuel Goldwyn acquires North America rights for action caper Killing Mary Sue. Very excited to go out this weekend. Martin Cove, he's the man. He was also in the Rambo movies. Which one was it? Samuel Goldwyn, big movie distributor, planning to release this coming the summer. Written and directed by James Sunshine. He's the guy who called me. Apparently he was a big supporter of my senatorial and presidential campaigns. Must be a Liberty guy in Hollywood, huh? Let's give it up for James Sunshine. He's like, Austin, I liked your message, and I know you're a good you got a great radio host, so they cast me in a small role as a radio host who, like, Mary Sue is, like, listening to, like, reporting the news of what's happening, because her dad's trying to kill her, and she becomes, like, they didn't know that she's actually, like, an assassin herself, so, and it's, like, a comedy action movie, which, honestly, we could use more of. It's about a corrupt senator who arranges for the murder of his biggest liability, his erratic, burnout stepdaughter, only for her to unwittingly discover her natural talent as an untouchable killer. So I'm excited for that. And there's a really good story that I linked in the chat from the Portland Press Herald, where they talked about the filmmaker, James Sunshine. Main filmmaker's movie, Killing Mary Sue, was a miracle of his own making. I did drop the link in the chat, and it's a really good, interesting article about how the movie got made. This is from February 10, but Killing Mary Sue, independent movies, let's make them not suck. Guys, if we want to have great movies, we're going to have to make them ourselves. And that doesn't always mean, that we... are just making propaganda or things like that. But it does mean that, we want to tell our stories, and we also want to tell some great stories. I think storytelling is an important tradition. And I think one of the problems and challenges that we have is people who believe in the beautiful, believe in the great, but who look to the past for guidance in order to go into the future. That film is an important part of our shared cultural history. And so I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to make history, and I'd like to make movies and storytell. And did you guys know that you are actually helping to fund that? Did you guys know that you are helping to make that happen? I mean, you're making my dream come true, but I mean, through this crowdsourcing, through the podcast, through people like Grizz Cheese, he just donated $5, you're helping to make it happen. Like, honestly, the more money and power that you give to me and Stephanie, and the more, honestly, I feel like people get corrupted. But Stephanie and we've been around for long enough, I think, to show that we're trustworthy and worthy of your support. And I'm glad that people like Grizz Cheese have done that, and others. So if you want to help me make movies not suck again, every little amount that you contribute, or if you go to forlibertyshop.com, goes to help make this happen, right? It's a lot of people call me a grifter, but the fact of the matter is that if I'm not taking this money and, using it to make awesome Liberty content and Liberty merchandise and Liberty movies and TV and podcasts and all that kind of stuff, then, what is it going to? Well, it's going to, feed my 10-month-old baby and my sweet little sweetheart redhead wife Steffi. So I mean, we're not getting rich yet. But if we do get rich, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to invest it right back into the fight for liberty, because I've been talking about this dream for a long time, and I think you guys know that the more support that you give us, the more that we're going to be on that path. And I think about it 10 years from now, where we could be, just with simple, small contributions like what Grizz Cheese just did right there. I also have to say thank you, speaking of, for our sponsor, ShopCPP.com, your trusted online pharmacy. They've got everything you need, from trusted treatments for erectile dysfunction and sildenafil to essentials like ivermectin, weight loss products, and a whole lot more. A lot of people approach me to try and sell supplements. I do not sell supplements because I cannot guarantee that they will have the pharmaceutical effect that pharmaceuticals will have, and I'm more of a pharmaceutical man myself, which is why I'm glad to partner with ShopCPP.com. They've got products for erectile dysfunction. You should electile to fix the erectile dysfunction, if perhaps you have some. Ordering is simple, secure, and discreet. And yes, they ship worldwide. Oh, and because you're part of the Wake Up America family, you'll get a 15% off discount if you use my name, AP for Liberty. That's AP, the number 4, AP for Liberty. So don't wait. Head to ShopCPP.com today. That's ShopCPP.com today. Health and convenience delivered right to your door. Thank you to ShopCPP. Thank you to Grizz Cheese. Fast internet donation. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah. So Frickety, Kermode Bear, I mean, a lot of you guys are monthly supporters already, and for that, we thank you. Thank you to everyone who is helping this dream come true. Fact is, though, we need more. So exit through the Grift Shop. Go to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. I can't do it alone. I have to do it with you guys, as Frickety has said. It's true. So love me or hate me, can't deny. My heart's in the right place. I believe in America. I believe in liberty. And thank you for believing in me. And thank you to T-Mill22. She made a generous donation as well to help to fund the documentary. So let's make it happen, guys. Let's go to Wake Up America shows for Liberty Shop on the way out, and we'll see you guys right back here again tomorrow. But no Thursday show, no Friday. AP's going to be in L.A. It's the Libertarians taking over Hollywood. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll see you back here again, though, tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Have a beautiful day.